You all ready? Cell phones? All phones on silent, please. Good evening, everyone. We're ready to begin tonight's City of Gardena regular City Council meeting for April 23rd, 2019. Madam City Clerk, will you call the roll, please?
Madam Mayor, all members of council are present.
Thank you. Attorney Whalen, is there anything to report from closed session?
No reportable action was taken tonight.
Okay, thank you. So tonight we're going to begin with our Pledge of Allegiance, which will be led by Miley Chacon and John Roa. Both are students at 186th Street Elementary School. So if everyone can please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, and immediately following that, if you can continue standing for our invocation, which will be led by the Reverend Kim. So please continue standing.
Put your right hand over your heart.
Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we come before you tonight and are grateful for this day. We know that every day is a gift from you, and we're grateful for it. I pray that we be able to live each and every day with joyful exuberance. And we are thankful tonight for this meeting, this opportunity to get together. And we pray that you would give us your thoughts and your ways. We know that your word says, as the heaven is higher than the earth, so are your thoughts than our thoughts, and your ways than our ways. God, tonight we ask for your thoughts and for your ways. We ask for wisdom tonight. We know that true wisdom comes only from you. And we pray that you would bestow your presence and give wisdom in this meeting. We pray for the mayor. We pray for the council members. We pray for everyone here tonight. We pray that you bless every single one of us in the meeting to come. We pray this in the name of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen.
You may be seated. If I could have our two pledgers come back to the front, Miley and John. So tonight's Pledge of Allegiance was led by Miley Chacon, who is in the 5th grade, and John Rowe, who is also in the 5th grade. Both are students at 186th Street Elementary School, and their principal is Mr. Antonio Aguilar. Miley and John were chosen to represent their schools as role models of the school-wise Owl Nation. They are also members of 186th Street School's International Children's Chorus, which will travel to New York City this summer to perform at the 2019 National Festival of the States. They both love music, education, sports, etc., and have set goals to attend high-ranking universities for degrees to help with their adult careers. So tonight we're going to begin with Miley first. Miley, can you tell us who brought you here tonight?
Who brought me here tonight is my mom.
Where is she
And
at?
my
We just want to recognize her right there. Everyone give her a round of applause for bringing her out. And Miley, is there anything you'd like to say?
Thank you for inviting me to do the pledge.
Okay, well, thank you for doing it. You did a great job. John, can you tell us who brought you tonight?
My dad brought me here tonight.
And where's your dad at?
Right there.
Right there. Okay, everyone give him a round of applause for bringing him out. And is there anything that you would like to say?
Yes, me and Miley have a speech.
Okay.
Good evening, Mayor Serta and the members of the Gardena City Council. I am John Rowe, and this is Miley Chacon. We are students at the 186th Street School and members of the 186th Street School International Chorus. Thank you for the opportunity to briefly share with you our upcoming and exciting adventure to New York in June, and to thank you for your support. Our chorus was adopted by the International Children's Choir of Long Beach back in 2007. As a result of racial tension and a tragedy in the community, since then our chorus, made up of 2nd to 5th graders, has made it our goal to bridge the cultural and racial divide through our message and peace, hope, and unity. We have many unique opportunities to do so near and far. This summer, we We have a very rare privilege to spread our message in New York City, where we will be representing California. We will be performing at places such as the 9/11 Memorial Museum and the Statue of Liberty. We will also be culturally and educationally enriched as we visit this historic city. It will be the first time most of the 48 of us course members and parents will visit New York City, and we are all so excited.
We thank you, the City of Gardena, for supporting us. We received monetary support when we performed at your tree lighting ceremony in December. And from Councilman Rodney Tanaka, thank you. With your support and many other supporters, as well as over 30 fundraisers, we are set up for our trip. Again, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Very well put together. So thank you for leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance today. Now, is your principal here today with you?
Yes.
Where is he at, Mr. Aguilar? Thank you for being here tonight to support your students. Everyone, give him a round of applause for coming out. Okay, again, thank you guys. You guys did a great job leading the pledge, and good luck this coming summer. Believe we all received information regarding your upcoming trip, so we wish you luck, and hopefully my colleagues and myself will be helping out and donating to your upcoming trip. All right, thank you. So next, tonight's invocation, if we could have Reverend Kim, please come back to the front. Tonight's invocation was led by the Reverend Richard Kim, who is the English ministry pastor at Bible Baptist Church, which is located at 17120 South Normandy Avenue. Pastor Richard Kim has served as an assistant pastor of the English ministry of Bible Baptist Church since October 2016. For the previous 4 years, he served as the assistant pastor of Charity Baptist Church in Somerset, New Jersey. He grew up in Washington State in the Seattle area. He graduated from the University of Washington with both a bachelor's degree and a master's degree in electrical engineering before God called him into the ministry. He then attended West Coast Baptist College in Lancaster, California, and graduated in 2011. Pastor Kim currently lives in Gardena with his wife and daughter. He is passionate about reaching people with the good news of the gospel, helping to strengthen families through God's word, and about impacting the world through mission work. So, Pastor Kim, is there anything you'd like to say?
I'd just like to say thank you for the opportunity to come and pray. And as a representative of our church, just want to let you all know we're thankful for all the good work that you do for our city and for the people here of our city. And so we're grateful for that. Also, every single Wednesday night, we have a service. And during part of the service, we have a time of prayer. And we have a list of things that our church members have requested prayer for and things like that. And you're on the list. Every week we pray for you. So we wanted to let you know that we pray for wisdom and that we pray for health and safety and goodness for you and the Lord's blessings on you. So just wanted to let you know that, and thank you once again for the opportunity to come.
Okay, well, thank you for doing that, and thank you for leading us in tonight's invocation. We really appreciate it. All right, give him a round of applause. So next, we're going to move on to item number 4, which is our presentations. Next, we are at the point of recognizing our Gardena military veteran. And tonight, we will be honoring Mr. Theory R. Williams, who was selected by Mayor Pro Tem Kaskanian. Mayor Pro Tem, is there anything you'd like to say before?
Yes, Madam Mayor. I would like to thank Mr. Theory Williams for your service. Thank you very much for your selfless, act of courage, and we appreciate it. We appreciate your service too as well. Thank you very much, Madam Mayor.
Okay. So I'm going to read his bio, and as I do, Mayor Pro Tem, you can leave that, that portion with me, and then you can go ahead down with the, okay. So his bio reads as follows. Let's see. Mr. Theory R. Williams, known as First Sergeant, was born on May 19, 1965, in Lake Charles, Louisiana. He's the third child of 5. He graduated in 1983 and joined the Louisiana National Guard in 1984, where he served nearly 3 years before deciding to transfer to active duty in the U.S. Army. During his military service, he served in many leadership positions. earned several awards, and was recognized on a number of occasions for his service to his country and in the communities where he served. Most notable, Williams was awarded the Military Outstanding Volunteer Service Medal for volunteering at Tacoma, Washington middle schools, church organizations, and various other programs. During his military service, First Sergeant Williams was deployed to Southeast Asia, Afghanistan, and Bosnia on 2 occasions. He served 23 years of U.S. Army military service before honorably retiring in February of 2007. Williams attended California State University of Long Beach and earned his teaching credentials in the U.S. Army Junior Reserve Officers Training Corps, motivating young people to become better citizens. He began his career as an Army instructor at Van Nuys High School and was later promoted to the position of Senior Army Instructor and assigned to Gardena High School in 2011. While at Gardena High School, First Sergeant Williams has participated in over 100 community and school events annually. A few of these includes the city's YMCA Children's Health Fair, the City of Gardena Jazz Festival, the City of Gardena Cinco de Mayo, and Dr. Martin Luther King Day Parade. Veterans Day services, Black History Month celebrations, Feed My Starving Children efforts, California Association Youth Courts, and the Gardena Teen Court, which is held on the Gardena High School campus. He has been actively involved in some of the local elementary and middle schools, participating in the Dr. Seuss Read Across America program, March for Peace parades, Winter Festival parades, and National Junior Achievements. Today, he and his school administrators are continuously seeking ways and means to establish partnerships with local communities to keep our youth involved in their communities. So I believe Councilmember Kaskinen has our special coin that we have provided for him. And also, we have a special certificate from our California Legislative Assembly member, and it states, Mr. Theory R. Williams from the United States Army, in recognition and celebration of your dedication and service to the United States of America, and with a sincere appreciation for your selfless acts of courage. And this is from Assemblymember Al Marsucci from the 66th District. So along with receiving that, Mr. Williams will also receive a DVD of today's meeting. Of course, special recognition from all of us in today's award. He'll also have photographs of today's event, as well as his picture will be on the kiosk on the corner of Redondo Beach Boulevard and Western. So once he finishes taking pictures, we'll let you say a few words.
Here. Really quick, I want to thank this great leadership team here for recognizing me. When I received the phone call the other day, I thought I had missed an event, so I was like, wow. I seen the text at 2 a.m. in the morning, and I text Nikki. I said, hey, call me. Let me know what's going on. I thought I had missed an event, and she told me the wonderful news, and I was just overwhelmingly excited. Gardena, the city of Gardena is a great place to be. Upon retiring here, I decided, this is going to be my home. Lake Charles is way down there, So to me, Gardena is home, and I want to be able to make an impact, not only to the community, but to our kids here in the community. I want this to leave behind a legacy. I don't want to do anything. When I retire, I want to retire from the city of Gardena, making an impact to the city, and watching you. I see most of you out there every event, just on the grind, and that motivates me and excites me to make me want to do more. When I'm tired, I look at you. And I say, look at them. They're out here and they're smiling. You know what I mean? I got to keep going on because the youth, they're looking at me. And I'm looking at you. And I'm saying, you know what? They got a lot of energy. So, that gives me enough motivation to keep pushing on. And you can look forward to me being out there again, continuously trying to make an improvement, building upon what you've already built, a great city here. Thank you for your leadership. Thank you for your guidance. And most of all, thank you for your support. And before I forget, I can't leave out my family here. Thank you. and my colleague there. I'm so glad he's with me. I'm putting 75% of the workload on him now. So, but thank you so much. It's a great honor and a privilege. Thank you to the City of Gardena. Ms. Nikki, thank you, and Ms. Pauline Moses, thank you as well.
Thank you,
Appreciate it.
sir. Okay, so next we're going to move on to item number 4A2, which is the Census 2020 presentation, which will be presented by a Miss Treese of the U.S. Census Bureau. Hi.
Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and to the City Council members and everyone here present tonight. I think I have my presentation deck as well that we need to put up on the board. So my name is Mary Chris Treese, and I am a partnership specialist with the U.S. Census Bureau. I am part of the Community Partnership and Engagement Program, and our goal really is to help engage, support, and create effective partnerships with local leaders as well as trusted voices within the community. As you probably are aware, the Bureau does the census or the decennial census once in every 10 years. And our objective really is to count everyone living in the United States once and only once and in the right place. And I really appreciate this opportunity to just quickly take you through the importance of the decennial census, how it's going to be easier, safe, and secure, and how the city of Gardena could help us with this endeavor. And so I guess I will just begin with answering the question of why we do the census. As I'm sure you're also aware, we do the census because it's part of the Constitution, that we do the census every 10 years. It's part of Article 1, Section 2, and we've been doing this since 1790. The results of the census is also used to determine many critical things for our community. First, it gives us a voice within the government. The results helps the state officials determine congressional representation as well as the reapportionment and redistricting of congressional and legislative districts, including school districts. More importantly, it also helps us determine how more than $675 billion in federal funding is distributed annually to the states as well as the various communities. In fact, California receives $76 billion in annual funds in support of programs such as Medicare, Medicaid, school lunch programs, community development grants, as well as road and school constructions, and many more. It's also key to note that the coming 2020 census is going to become easier and safe. For the first time, you would be able to do the self-response using the internet. You would be able to utilize your phone, your desktop, your iPad, even your laptop to be able to do the self-response through the online network. It's also important to note that the response that you give to the census will be safe and secure. All the responses are treated confidentially and is covered by the law under Title 13. The results that come out of the census is only reported in statistical format only. Census does not share any of the respondents' personal information with any other government agencies. In fact, all census employees, including myself, are sworn for life to protect the respondents' information. There are severe penalties for wrongful disclosures of, including imprisonment and even a fine of up to $250,000. Conducting the census is a very massive operation and undertaking. It does require years of planning as well as the help and support of thousands of people. And there are many ways that the city could help us with this endeavor, as I mentioned. We hope and encourage that the city would continue to disseminate the information about the up-and-coming 2020 census, help the community understand its significance, that it will be easy and that it will be safe. Second, we hope that you continue to support the formation of a complete count committee, or the CCC. This, from previous censuses, we know that the CCC was key in helping to strategize outreach to the hard-to-count, how-to-reach populations of the community. The information packet about the CCC is all in your folder that I've had on your desk over there. It contains how the CCC could be formed, and if there are any technical resources that you require from the census, we will be happy to help you out on that one. We also hope that the city would continue to invite us to big city events where you deem it appropriate for us to disseminate information about the census, answer questions about it as well, and that we hope you help us continue to spread the word about the census jobs that we have and help us recruit a diverse staff within to help us staff our area census offices. There are many employment opportunities open right now with the Census Bureau, and I encourage everyone to go to the site 2020census.gov/jobs. I also have some flyers at the back for those who are interested to know more about the job opportunities. So just in closing, I wanted to say that we are less than 1 year away from the decennial census, which is next year, April 2020. There's about 10 minutes for you to do continue to respond to the, finish the census questionnaire, but the benefits for us would impact us for the next 10 years. So thank you so much for this opportunity, and I'll be happy to stay behind for any questions.
Okay, any questions on, go ahead.
What time of the year is the census taken?
That would be on April. We call Census Day is April 1st, 2020.
Okay, thank you.
City Manager?
Mayor Serta, members of the City Council, this is a very important endeavor for the city, and we have established a committee within city staff that is represented by all the departments. It's being led by the assistant to the city manager to ensure that we get all of the departments getting the information out to our community. We're going to be doing a lot of community outreach. Some of it has already started, and we want to make sure that we get all of our people counted here in Gardena, and we're looking at all efforts possible to get that word out. So this will be an ongoing project, and it's very important to the city of Gardena.
Okay, thank you. If there are no other questions, then thank you for sharing that information with us.
Thank you so much.
Okay. So next, we're going to move on to item number 4B1, which is National Get On Board Day. And I believe we have a representative from G-Trans coming forward here. So as she's coming forward here, I'm just going to read the, the proclamation. It states, whereas National Get On Board Day is celebrated to showcase the benefit and to build the support for public transportation as it offers economic opportunity and influences community growth by driving economic development and the revitalization of neighborhoods, as every $1 invested in public transportation generates approximately $4 in economic return. Whereas public transportation is a $71 billion industry that directly employs 420,000 individuals and supports billions of private sector jobs. Further, 87% of public transit trips directly impact the economy by connecting people to their employment, as well as retail and entertainment venues. Whereas public transportation helps people save money, helps the environment, and improves the American quality of life. Further, where public transportation goes, community grows and prospers. So we proclaim Thursday, April 25th, 2019 to be National Get On Board Day. And in the city of Gardena, as the city's G-Trans workforce joins with public transportation agencies across the country on this special day to showcase the benefits, build support, and promote the vital and positive role that public transportation plays in the community of Gardena in California and across America. Ms. Penn, would you like to say anything?
On behalf of G-Trans and the over 200 transit agencies across the United States that are participating in National Get On Board Day, I just wanted to thank you very much for your support. It means a lot. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Next, we have a proclamation for Cinco de Mayo celebration. And do we have a representative or representatives? Please come forward. As they're coming forward here, I'm going to read the proclamation. It says, whereas from the time the New World was colonized, all of the nations of Europe shipped enormous amounts of gold and silver across the Atlantic from Mexico during the time the country was ruled by Spain. Whereas when the people of Mexico rebelled against Spain and formed an independent government, all of the European nations anticipated that this independence would fail, facilitated huge financial loans to the Mexican government, hoping to collect much more in return, making Mexico become heavily indebted financially to Spain, Great Britain, and France. Whereas both Spain and Great Britain threatened to invade Mexico, the French took advantage of this opportunity to expand their empire under Napoleon III, and in 1862 began advancing its armed forces from Veracruz into the state of Puebla, with the intention of capturing its capital. The city of Pueblo, however, the people of Pueblo, under the leadership of General Ignacio Zaragoza, was ready to fight, and as the French troops began their attack on the city of Puebla on May 5th, the Mexican soldiers accomplished their first defeat of the French. And whereas the eventual independence of the Mexican people really began with the Battle of Puebla, thus being Cinco de Mayo, remains a landmark date in the history of Mexico. And whereas amongst the many ethnic groups within our city, those of Mexican descent have been most prominent and deeply rooted in the history of both the city of Gardena and the state of California. So we proclaim Saturday, May 4th, 2019, to be the 33rd annual Cinco de Mayo celebration. And in the city of Gardena, we further urge the entire citizenry to be aware of the special celebration and to encourage participation in the community's parade and festival activities planned to be memorialize this most significant historical and cultural event. Ms. Medina, would you like to say anything?
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, City Council, and City Manager and staff. On behalf of the Cinco de Mayo Festival Scholarship Committee, I thank you for recognizing this as our 33rd year of service to the city of Gardena and have assisted many youth in achieving their education goals. We would like to invite the council, audience, and staff to our coronation event this Sunday, the 28th of April, at the Nakaoka Center from 3 to 6 p.m. for food, entertainment, and the acknowledgement as to who our queen of for the year of 2019-2020 will be. I'd like to also introduce our members. To my right is Nancy Morales, and she is the current queen for 2018-2019. To her right is Lucia Ordonez, 2017-2018. To my right is actually the princess of 2018-2019 and current princess for this year. And behind her is Jackie, which is part of the committee, Rosales, and then we have Sandra Ordonez, and then Celia Aguilar. And those are the committee members. There's a couple of them that are not here because they couldn't show up. Two of the princesses actually are, one of the princesses is actually working, and the other committees is Adelita Rodriguez, Rosa Rodriguez, Rosie Navarro, and Jeanette Rodriguez. This year, our community Grand Marshal is going to be Jasmine Carvajal, which is a business owner. We also celebrating the Grand Marshal is El Raton from, celebrity Grand Marshal is El Raton from 93.9 Radio Central, who is a DJ, well known in the community. Then also I'd like to invite everyone to our parade on May 4th, 2018, starting at New Hampshire, ending at Masfukai around 11:30, starting at 10 o'clock in the morning on Saturday. and the parade route is Gardena Boulevard to Normandy. We will be having also the Lions mobile unit, which will be allowing and offering free screenings of diabetes, high blood pressure. We have other merchants that are actually joining us. Will we be offering services for Kaiser, White Memorial? The city will be there, of course. And we'd like to invite everybody to come and join us that day after the parade to have the festivities, which will be having entertainment, mariachi, folklorico dancers. The dignitaries will be there. We also will be giving out to join us in the opportunity that we'll be giving out televisions, laptops, and other things. So please come and join us on this event. And we'd like to thank Parks and Recreation staff, Stephanie Santin, Susie Santana, and Pauline Moses. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So next we have another proclamation here, and this is for the Municipal Clerks Week. And today accepting that, I believe, is our city clerk. And I'm going to read the proclamation here. And it says, whereas the office of the municipal clerk is a time-honored and vital part of local government throughout the world and is the oldest among public servants, whereas the office of municipal clerk provides the professional link between citizens, local governing bodies, and agencies of government of other levels, and whereas the municipal clerks have pledged to be ever mindful of their neutrality and impartiality, rendering equal service to all. And whereas the office of the municipal clerk serves as the information center on the function of local government and the community, whereas municipal clerks continually strive to improve the administration of the affairs of the office of the municipal clerk through participation in educational programs, seminars, workshops, and the annual meetings of their state, province, county, and international professional organization. Whereas it is most appropriate that we recognize the accomplishments of the office of the municipal clerks. So we proclaim May 5th through May 11th, 2019 to be the 50th anniversary of the Municipal Clerks Week. And in the city of Gardena, and further extend appreciation to Gardena's municipal clerk, Mina Semenza, and to all the municipal clerks for their vital service, and their deputies and staff and members that they perform for their exemplary dedication to the communities they represent. So, Mina?
Thank you, Honorable Mayor Serta and City Council. Thank you so much for this recognition. On behalf of myself and the staff of the Office of the City Clerk, we thank you. And we'd also like to invite you to a celebration. We'll be having a reception on Wednesday, May the 8th, from 2 to 4, and that is extended also to the public as well as to all staff and employees of the city. Thank you again.
Thank you. Okay, next we're going to move on to appointments. So does any member of the council have any appointments to be made to any commissions, committees, boards, or council? I think I'm the only one. Tonight I'd like to make an appointment to our Senior Citizens Commission. I'd like to appoint Ms. Charlotte Lynch to the position. Can I get a second? Thank you. Madam City Clerk, there was a motion made by myself and a second by Councilmember Tanaka. Will you call the roll, please?
Mayor Serta?
Yes.
Councilmember Tanaka?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Cascanian?
Yes.
Councilmember Medina?
Yes.
Councilmember Henderson?
Yes.
Okay, and I believe in this position here, the commissioner needs to be sworn in?
Actually,
No?
that policy was changed a while ago.
Oh, okay.
And it needs to be corrected on our
Okay.
agenda.
Okay, well, you've already been accepted into that position, Ms. Lynch. Congratulations in advance on all the work you're going to be doing. We know you're definitely well-suited for the job, so thank you in advance for serving on that board, or that commission, I'm sorry. Okay, next we're going to move on to our consent calendar. Does any member of the council have any items they wish to discuss separately? If not, can I get a motion to approve the consent calendar as is?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Madam City Clerk, there was a motion made by Mayor Pro Tem Cascanian and a second by Councilmember Henderson. Will you call the roll, please?
Mayor Pro Tem Cascanian,
Yes.
Councilmember Henderson,
Yes.
Councilmember Medina,
Yes.
Councilmember Tanaka, Mayor Serta.
Yes. Okay, next is Planning and Environmental Quality Commission Action Sheet. Item number 7A1. Does any member of the council, would they like to review or appeal this decision? If not, we're going to go ahead and receive and file. We're going to move on to item number 7A2. Are there any questions or concerns on this one here? If not, we're going to go ahead and receive and file then.
Mayor Serta, we do have
Oh,
to
I'm sorry.
schedule a public hearing. The next available day would be May 14th.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Okay, on this item here. Quick question here. What ordinance number do you have on your list? Because for some reason, I don't have it on mine.
On the
It's a separate-
current report of actions, it does not indicate the ordinance number. We'll have that corrected for the next
Okay,
item, but the public hearing should be set for May 14th.
okay.
We
All
can
right.
go by reference in terms of the zone amendment number 1-19 for the city
Okay.
council.
All right, sounds good. Okay, public hearing for May 14th. Next, we're going to move on to oral communications. Tonight, we have one speaker, Mr. Basil Hewitt. And if you could please come forward. I just want to remind our speaker that you are limited to your remarks to 3 minutes unless extended by myself. When the amber color light comes on, that will alert you that your 2 minutes are up. When the red light comes on, then that means your 3 minutes are up at that time. So you can go ahead and begin
All right.
now.
Thank you. I'll be brief. Thank you, Mayor Serta and City Council members. I'm Basil Hewitt. I'm a registered civil engineer with Los Angeles County Sanitation Districts, and you've probably seen me here a couple of times over the last couple of months, unfortunately. And I'm just here to give you some great news. You know, our agency's been around since 1923, and we've basically worked off, quietly solving the problem of treating sanitation for LA County. As you know, we treat sanitation for about 5.6 million people in LA County, sewage. And every day we clean up 400 million gallons of sewage in about 12 hours and turn it into near drinking water quality. For the last 2 years, sanitation workers, myself included, have been in a labor impasse with our management. But our board of directors and Mayor Serta and Council Member or Director Medina have been on our board, has given our management direction to reach a deal with us. So on April 11th, a contract, all the commas were in place, all the T's were crossed, all the I's were dotted. And then this afternoon at lunch, sanitation districts workers as far north as Palmdale and Lancaster all unanimously ratified this contract. And so all that's left is for when that contract comes back to our board of directors, including you, Mayor Serta, is your ratification and the whole sanitation district's collective committee in May, and then we can get back to being the greatest sanitation districts in the nation. I say that humbly, but I think we have the data to back it up in terms of the level of service we've provided for almost 100 years, and most people don't even realize where their sewage is going and the fact that we're handling a fourth of the county's trash at the lowest rates in the whole nation.
Right.
So that's it. I just wanted to give you a brief update and thank you for this opportunity. And next time you see me in Gardena, I'll be at Azuma, the Japanese restaurant, or at my cousin's place. She's an engineer with Boeing. It runs in the family. She lives on West 155th. So thank you, and let's get this done so we can get back to just being sanitation workers.
Mr. Hewitt, thank you for sharing that information with us. Okay, so next we're going to move on to item number 8C1. Mr. City Manager.
Mayor Serta, members of the City Council, agenda number 8C1 is the approval of a franchise agreement for city-related towing services for July 1st, 2019 through July 30th, 2024 to RSD Tow, Inc., doing business as U.S. Tow Hawthorne. For the past 14 years, the city has contracted with our current vendor, Hisham's Towing, for towing services. The current contract has been prolonged through the initial contract period and all allowable extensions. So we are at the end of all allowable extensions. On October 25th, 2018, city staff released an RFP for one exclusive franchise for towing services for the city. To encourage competition, staff published a notice to bidders in the Gardena Valley News, sent the RFP to all those with a towing or storage license in Gardena, expanded eligible bidders who could obtain a principal place of business within the corporate limits of Gardena. 7 companies attended the mandatory pre-bid conference. The city received 3 bids on February 14, 2019. The city did a full evaluation of 2 of the bids, Hisham's Towing and U.S. Tow, Hawthorne. The 3rd bid did not undergo a full evaluation as the company did not submit a full proposal and was therefore unable to be evaluated. Staff evaluated the proposals based on the franchise requirements, which included provisions about the facility, towing vehicles, experience, towing and storage fees, and financial capacity and viability. Based on staff's evaluation, staff recommended the franchise agreement will be awarded to RSD Tow, Inc., doing business as U.S. Tow Hawthorne. The decision was based on U.S. Tow's Hawthorne's fees to be nominally cheaper and its fiscal viability is more secure. U.S. Tow Hawthorne is currently working on its new DBA and plans to serve the city of Gardena as U.S. Tow Gardena. The business's Gardena facility will be located at 1600 West 139th Street, where they're investing approximately $200,000 in the building and hiring approximately 5 employees. The fiscal impact, anticipated revenue in year 1 approximately $370,000 annually, which includes an annual franchise fee of $60,000 and approximately $310,000 in administrative fees. Each subsequent year has an annual increase in administrative fees and the franchise fees, which will be paid to the city. What is required by the City Council is to approve the award of franchise for city-related towing services, RSD Tow, Inc., doing business as U.S. Tow Hawthorne, for a 5-year period extending from July 1st, 2019 to July 30th, 2024, and the site plan for the business. It is further recommended the City Council authorize the mayor and city clerk to execute the franchise agreement approved as to form by the city attorney.
Okay, thank you. So we have one speaker on this item here. I'm just going to open up to speakers before we give any comments or questions here. Mr. Khalid Jabi.
Good evening. Just want to point out something that we have been towing for the city of Gardena for the last 12 years. We have been servicing the city of Gardena perfectly fine, executing our end of the contract. We have a facility in the city of Gardena. We have been licensed for the city of Gardena since 1986. We hold the franchise towing right now, and I looked at I had to go pick up a agenda report summary, and I realized that at the conclusion of it, it said that although both are equal, and I don't see how are we both equal. If you go, I don't know if you ladies and gentlemen, have the agenda. In regards to the facility requirement, we exceed what the city require. Everything we have here is existing. On the other hand, U.S. Tow has a proposal. So we already have a facility which is 2.06 acre that we kept, and we have it up and running for the city of Gardena services. It says here that Hawthorne will be undergoing a tenant improvement for this contract. This will result in an investment of over $200,000 in the community. I don't see how is improving a property in the city of Gardena will come back to any benefit to the city other than the few $1,000s you get on a permit. And it says it will approximately have additional 5 jobs for the city. By putting me out of a contract from the city of Gardena, I will lose at least 15 employees. My company has 23 employees, at least 15 of them are dedicated for the city of Gardena. On the other hand, in the towing and vehicle requirement, it says that U.S. Tow already has everything. Yes. We have 8 years of experience. Our trucks age of fleet is 8 years versus 9 years. So our trucks are, if you consider 1 year different, that's a newer truck. It's proposing to buy an additional 5 trucks to service the city. So that tells me that US Tow is a very well-known company, but they don't have the equipment to serve the city of Gardena as of now, which is part of the requirement in the RFP is to have 5 trucks minimum to serve the city of Gardena, which they do not have. They're getting 5 trucks, which is they don't have now. On the experience requirement, as you see on here, US Tow Hawthorne has 12 years of public safety towing experience versus 32 years experience of Hisham's Towing and 36 years in general. So how is that equal, 12 years to 36 years? I don't see it anywhere equal. On the towing and storage fees, obviously, their proposal is pretty much the same as what we have already existing in contract, 160, 160. I proposed to tow the city heavy-duty tows and anything over 15 miles for no charge.
Go ahead, continue.
I propose to tow them for no charge versus $60 per tow. So I think my rates, my commitment to the city is a little bit better. In regards to the conclusion, where it says 200,000, I already spoke about that in regards to the 5 jobs. I lose 15 jobs for him to bring in 5 jobs. I don't know how that's going to benefit the city anywhere. I don't know how is the staff is basing his recommendation based on serving the citizens of Hawthorne. What about the citizens of Gardena? I think I've been a very good job over the 33 years I've been in the city of Gardena, and my track record with the police department that I tow for, you can ask him. My track record speaks for itself. We have no issues whatsoever, and I think I asked the city council to reverse the staff recommendation and award the towing to Hisham's Towing that's been serving the city for the last 33 years. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So at this time, we're going to open it up to questions and comments, and, okay. If we need to ask a question, we'll call you back up to the front. We're going to start with Councilmember Medina.
It confuses me why we would want to bring in an outside company when we already have one, number one. Number two, I don't know of any towing company that will provide a free towing service to the city, whereas the other company is going to charge for towing big vehicles. And I also know that the Hisham's Towing always gives Gardena citizens a free with no charge. So if you get towed and you go to Hisham's and you find out that you have to get your car out of there, the first day is free. And I don't know that other towing companies do that. And Hisham's has been a very good partner to the city of Gardena. They've sponsored like the concerts in the park. They've sponsored the Why We Should Honor Our Flag, which is a city function, as well as the beautification aspect of the city of Gardena. So I see no sense in allowing RDS Tow to come in. I prefer to have a towing company that knows our city and has provided free services to the city and is also a partner in the city here in general, where they've already established themselves. They help us in fundraising. They help us in being partners in events that we have. And I'd have to say I'm not really in favor of US Tow. That's just my opinion.
Okay, I think that's the first question I'd like to ask. Does this other company, what is it, US Tow? Do they offer 1 day free charge?
It's part of the RFP, yes, they do.
That is part of the RFP. Okay, are there any other questions or concerns? We're going to start with Councilmember Henderson and then go to Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Mr. City Manager, in regards to some of the findings in regards to the study, were there discussions in regards to the habitual not meeting the deadlines of monthly reports and stuff like that? Was there a conversation about that?
So as we evaluated the RFP, they are very close in terms of their ability to provide service. US Tow, which is going to be doing business in Gardena, is going to be upgrading a facility that meets or exceeds our standards. We have had significant issues regarding the payment of franchise fees as well as other administrative fees to the city of Gardena going back to at least 2014. I could detail those for you if you want me to in exact detail, but as it stands right now, to be completely transparent, the current provider still owes the city $56,000 from past franchise fees. They have gone as late as being over 150 days late in payments to the city of Gardena.
Thank you.
Okay, Mayor Pro Tem Cascania.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Mr. City Manager, did the police department, in my understanding, they go inspect the facility? Did they inspect the facility for U.S. Tow?
They inspected the facility in Hawthorne for U.S. Tow. The facility here in Gardena is still being built, and they will have to meet and exceed all of the recommendations that are all the requirements in the RFP. There is a rendering in your package of the facility. It's on 139th Street there, and it does have the required space and layout that the city has indicated that they need in the RFP.
So at this time, we don't have any facility that if we terminate Hisham Towing from the business, doing the tow for the city of Gardena, we don't have the facility yet ready at this time.
They will be ready to operate out of their Hawthorne one for a very short period of time. The facility is going to be worked on, and I think we set an August 1st deadline to have that ready.
Okay, and so that means Gardena residents, they're going to go to Hawthorne to pick up their vehicle if their vehicle get towed or impounded.
Yes, for a short period of time, that is what's going to occur.
Okay, and do we consider doing rotation on the towing with the two companies, or?
We did not consider that in RFP. The city has done that, has had a rotational process a long time ago. It did not, it was not the most efficient process for the police department switching back and forth between two different vendors. It is ideal to have one towing company so that our community is directed to one location. Our evidence is being held in one location. For economy of scale, it is the best. The experience for the city has been the best to have one towing company.
Thank you.
Hold on. Any questions on this side before I go back over here?
So what part did Frank Scotto Towing not meet our standards?
They really didn't submit an RFP. They just kind of submitted a letter of interest. It was very deficient in terms of its application. Maybe they didn't understand the process, or I'm not exactly clear, but it was not a RFP that was submitted like Hisham's or U.S. Tow.
Okay, Councilmember Henderson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Mr. City Manager, in regards to the outstanding amount owed to us for franchise fees, is that going to collections, or what's happening with that? How will we be made whole with that?
Yeah, the city has a responsibility to collect on outside debts. We do not have the authority to waive or forgive those debts, so we would have to take all appropriate action to ensure that we receive payment.
Any other questions or comments? Medina? Councilmember Medina, I'm sorry.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Mayor. My understanding, going back to the time that our city was in financial straits, didn't Hisham's Towing pass on receiving some money that was due to them but was never paid because we were in dire straits at the time? Correct me if I'm wrong.
That's not the type of relationship this RFP is. It's the city gets paid, not that the city pays Hisham's Towing. We collect administrative fees and franchise fees.
Okay, my understanding was that some money was owed to Hisham's, and they basically provided service at a minimum price because we were in financial dire straits.
I'm not familiar with that, but I would try to figure out how that would even be possible in that.
Can he eliminate, bring that out, Mr. Hisham Ajabi?
If I could, continue, the city is not in the process. This franchise agreement, as noted in the report, is revenue for the city, not the other way around.
Okay, we're going to just leave it at that. Okay, any other questions or comments? Okay, I have a couple, but no, you can go ahead and come forward because This will be for the city. No, you need to come to the mic. Yeah.
To elaborate on that, yes, we do owe the city some money, and we did it before, and we paid the city all our dues. We never left the city out of any money. We get behind and we pay, and the RFP states that if you are behind, there's no contract termination. It does not affect your contract. You can charge a penalty, interest, and we pay the city. But we never not pay the city any money. And what Mr. Medina is referring to is back in maybe 15, 20 years ago, or maybe 10 years ago. I'm not sure the date. I'm not going to lie to you. When the city had a financial problem and the city of Gardena was going to go bankrupt. And if you've been around enough, which most of you been in Gardena, the city had a problem with a trash company around, like 10, 15 years ago. And we ended up towing all the trash bins for the city of Gardena, and we had an invoice almost $120,000 owed to us by the city of Gardena for towing. And at that time, Mr. Mitch Lansdale came to my father and he asked him that, you know what, the city has no money to pay, so we end up voiding the invoice. That's the kind of relationship we're trying to have with the city. Because if I'm, like going back on if it's only the financial problem, then it is what it is. But all my other points of comparison with my competitor, I think I way ahead of it. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. City Manager?
I was not familiar with that, and that's obviously not related to the towing process in terms of the vehicle tows.
Okay.
This was a difficult decision. We have been with Hisham's for 14 years, but staff has to recommend what is in the best interest of the city. And when we are consistently being paid late, sometimes very late, and have to follow up with a number of emails and calls and accepting payments hundreds of days late, it is inconsistent with the practice we have with other vendors and not not consistent with best fiscal practices by the city. To date, as we look at this RFP, the fact that they are owing the city approximately $56,000 in and of itself could be viewed as a condition of, not letting them compete for the RFP, in my opinion. This has nothing to do with whether or not they provided poor service in the past. This is a situation where we have to maintain a service to our community, and we have to ensure, which is very common in many of these RFPs, that the companies we're entering into agreement has the ability, based on its fiscal standing, to continue to provide the service to our community, because otherwise then we will be scrambling for other tow services. It's unfortunate, but that's the situation that we find ourselves in now.
Okay. Just a couple of quick comments that I have. I am a little concerned we're going with the company outside of Gardena. I understand what this new company is proposing to do. Let's just say for whatever reason they don't finish building their business. Do they then lose the contract then at that time?
Absolutely, and they will be a Gardena-based business.
Okay.
They have to pull a Gardena business license. They are changing the name to U.S. Tow Gardena.
Okay.
This is not doing business with a business that's not establishing a presence in Gardena.
Okay.
You have to remember there are very few towing companies in Gardena
Right.
that can provide the service and compete in an RFP. Of the other 7 that came to the pre-meeting, several of them were outside of Gardena as well.
And they weren't looking to
They would have to do the same.
would have to do the same thing. Okay. Because I'm leaning more towards the fact that I would like to stay with our current person because he has had good service, correct? We've had good service in the past. Is that correct? Aside from what we're talking about, the financial side of it, as far as
Yes.
towing, working with our police department, et cetera?
Yes.
Okay. Keeping that in mind and looking at the fact of the number of employees that, you employ that, are here in Gardena, that is a big deal to me. And you do have the experience, 32 years, 36 years, as opposed to this other company of 12 years. So, when I look at that, I am more apt to go with an existing company that is here. But there is always that matter of that money that's owed, and that's a big deal here as well. my question to the city manager, I know you said there have been some notices and phone calls. Are we talking like 1 or 2 notices? Or are we talking about we're consistently doing this? Because again, that makes a big difference as well, that we're calling on a regular basis. And you're saying this has been going back how many years now?
So let's just take, for example, the average payment history for administrative fees and lien fees. In 2014, they were averaging about 122 days late on their payments. In 2015, it was 159 days. In 2016, they dropped it to 25, but then went back up in 2017 to 58 days. In 2018, they're averaging 57 days late. And as of standing right now, they have not paid any franchise fees for this year. In 2018, quarterly financial fees of $13,161 per quarter were paid in full on October 28th for all 4 quarters. That was an average of $200 late for payments on the first 3 quarters. We have to maintain a budget, and we count on money based on projections on these franchise agreements and other things. So it is a difficult situation, but I do not believe that we have a situation with other vendors that is this inconsistent and in their ability to pay.
I see. Okay. Are there any other questions or comments?
I have a quick one.
Okay.
So financially, they're behind months. It says that they're behind in their monthly reporting also, and how critical is that, and how late are they in their reporting?
Well, in terms of the franchise fees, it's set, but in terms of the administrative lien sales, how we validate the sales and the administrative fees is based on the information that they provide through their reports.
And how late are they?
What would be consistent with the information in terms of the payment? They go hand in hand in terms of assessing how much is due.
Okay. Any other questions, comments? I have one last one. So, Mr. City Manager, usually when you're giving us an update as far as where we're at financially, I know sometimes you've mentioned before that because there may be money that was still outstanding and owed, that sometimes you can't always give us that exact amount where we're at. Is this one of those instances? Is this that instance where there's a company that is behind, which we can't say for sure that we have X amount of dollars in the bank because of that?
Correct. As we do our
Okay.
projections and we report out on terms of revenues received, those are anticipated revenues, but they have not been received. So as a result, until they are received and they're deposited in our accounts, they're really still a receivable. They have.
Okay. Okay, understood. Councilmember Henderson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. In regards to our other vendors that owe us or not, that are doing business in the city, on the aging report, what's the average just of outstanding vendors, just roughly?
I don't have the exact amount because we just don't have this problem with many of our vendors. Certainly none to this extent.
And the reason for my question was just to see what the variance was, to make sure it wasn't an anomaly or just something that, we kind of work with folks, that's all.
And we have worked with Hisham's Towing considerably because of their long-term relationship with the city of Gardena. Well beyond what we have done for others, and because of their long-term relationship.
I see. Okay, if there are no other questions or comments, I need a motion at this time to award the towing service and franchise to RSD Towing Incorporated, which DBA is U.S. Tow Hawthorne. Is there a motion? Is there a motion? I'll make the motion. Is there a second? No second? Okay, well, at this time, it looks like the motion dies. Mr. City Attorney, at this time, I need some direction from you. Since we do have a company that's been recommended by the staff, what is your recommendation?
Well, at this stage, I guess you can proceed to award the contract to the other bidder.
Okay. Okay, so Is there a motion then to approve the contract to Hisham Towing at this time?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay.
Madam Mayor, can I make a comment? If we're going to award this contract, I think at a minimum, we have to have that they are up to date with their payments, because we are now awarding a subsequent contract with payments that have not been made at all for 2019. And I would make additional recommendations that if they fall behind again, that we take immediate action regarding their contract. It's just not good business sense to continue to allow them to be behind to such an extent.
Okay. Go ahead with your question.
My question, thank you, Madam Mayor. City Manager, can we do some sort of like payment and they must pay, I don't know, whatever the 6 payment or 10 payment, whatever we have to do, they have to pay it. If not, their contract will be nil and void. Or the city manager, city attorney, Mr. Whelan.
You might award it subject to them coming current with the payment within 10 days.
With $50-some thousand in 10 days?
Well, hold on a second. I don't know, before we start talking dollar amounts and so on, let me ask one other question here, because this is something just came into mind. Because there is a recommendation by the staff based on this other company meeting all the requirements here, are we liable in any sense because we're not going with the recommendation because this first company in Hawthorne, U.S. Towing, they met all the qualifications and so on? Are we opening ourselves up to lawsuits here because of that, or no?
It was one of the criteria that we based the award on the RFP.
Okay. Councilmember Cascania?
But they're not ready in the city of Gardena for me to say yes at this time for RSD Towing, U.S. Towing. How can I say yes? And I don't know how long it's going to take for them to move into Gardena. Month, 2, 6 months? Anything might possibly happen. So I can't award them,
They're indicated August 1st, and their contract says August 31st they will be operational in the city of Gardena. Or the contract is terminated.
Okay, one other question, then we're going to move forward with like an amendment to this. Go ahead. What was your question?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. It's not a question, it's just a comment. You can't buy loyalty. Granted, they fell behind, and granted, they are behind, but they sacrificed $120,000 of towing for the city. And to me, that tells me there's some loyalty involved. They lost out on $120,000 on the process of towing for our city, and to this day, they haven't sent any collection agencies toward the city. So from my point of view, everybody falls late on their bills, not necessarily that big, but the point is, if they're that loyal to us, I would want to be that loyal to them as well.
Councilmember Henderson?
What was the motion on the floor? What was the motion?
That we award the contract to Hisham Towing.
I was going to say, could I amend that motion that we award the contract, but make any outstanding payments due within 45 days? And if we can't meet that, then we would then award the contract as staff had suggested to U.S. Tow, Hawthorne, and understanding that they'll be in Gardena by August 31.
Give us just a moment here. I know.
So he made the motion? Oh, you made the motion.
He made an amendment.
Can I say?
Can we have a second really quick to confer with
Hold
the
on
city
one
attorney, please?
I'm sorry, say
Madam
that
Mayor,
again?
can I have a second to confer with the city attorney,
Okay,
please?
yes, please, go ahead.
Madam Mayor, members of the City Council, just a couple points that I want to bring up. So we have a vendor that's coming into the City of Gardena to establish a business. I understand the long-term relationship with Hisham's, but they also have a substantial financial investment they have to make. So if in 45 days, we're going to keep another company in limbo that through an RFP process, they were considered the best option. To allow a company to let them be in limbo for 45 days, the city attorney and I agree, is way too long. We're awarding a new contract for a long period of time to a company who still owes us money. So if they cannot pay us within a very short period of time, which is what's the reason the city attorney recommended 10 days, what is the likelihood that they are going to continue to pay us on time? So if we're going to award to Hisham's, they need to be able to come to the table and make themselves whole as quickly as possible in 10 days because they already have not paid any franchise fees for the entire year. You can't, I mean, we have to have this expedited if we're going to make that substantial of a change from staff recommendation to bring them whole as immediately as possible, because if they don't, then we have another company sitting in limbo who has time and money invested in a property they would have to, hold.
Okay. So go ahead.
I was just going to ask if I could make a substitute motion to as an addendum to yours, that we would give the award to Hisham's if they pay it off in the next 10 days.
Not if they pay it off, with the condition.
I mean, when they pay it off.
With the condition
Yeah.
of,
With the condition that they do pay it off, yeah.
pay the entire amount within 10 days.
Yes, and additionally, as I mentioned before, that there has to be a stipulation that they will consistently be on time with their payments, or else we're going to be finding ourselves back in the same situation. I'm also concerned that we don't extend this practice to other franchisees, et cetera. So if they can meet those requirements, then it's a council's discretion, and it's their, you guys make policy, and we'll follow your rule, follow your direction.
So my question is, what's going to prohibit them from getting this contract and then continuing not to pay us? What's going to be the penalties? There's got to be some kind of a penalty if they're going to continue to do what they're doing. And because they get the contract, because they pay the money, they can go out and get the money and pay 10 days, and then all of a sudden, now we're not getting our money again.
Well, I will not allow continue to a vendor to not pay us on time, and we have to hold them accountable, whether it's Hisham's or anyone else. We shouldn't be tracking down funds that are due to us based on an agreement that they executed. So we would have to be more proactive in terminating a contract and then moving forward with another vendor. So if it's council's desire, we will move forward with that.
Before you, I'm going to let you in just a second here. Under the agreement here, under item number C, where it says termination, so it says during the first 5 years of this agreement, the city may terminate this agreement at any time with a 90-day written notice to the franchisee. So if we're running into that situation again, we can terminate this within 90 days, correct?
Yes,
So-
that is correct. But the practical ramification of that is, then who do we go to that can set up and provide the service in Gardena on a short notice? That is, I don't have any knowledge on why this wasn't followed up with on the execution of a termination agreement in the past. I certainly would have moved forward with a little bit more aggressive stance in making sure that they were up to date. But if we do terminate the contract, then we have to find someone within 90 days to do this. And
I see.
they have been working on this for approximately 5 months.
Okay. And most of this happened with previous city manager, et cetera, so this hasn't been under your watch, so to
Well,
speak.
some of it has been. I mean,
Okay.
I've been probably more aggressive in making sure that they call and try to track down the money, but it's a tough situation. It's not about the service, it's not about the relationship, it's not about the loyalty. It's about the business decision based on their ability to pay.
Okay, Councilmember Henderson?
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and just taking everybody's thoughts into consideration, definitely want to withdraw my motion. I'm thinking about what my colleagues have said, that there are no guarantees in regards to us not getting into this situation again. However, we also have to look at the precedents that we set for other vendors that are doing business with the city of Gardena, and them wanting to then also have the same kind of discretion towards their issues when they come before us, and then it starts becoming a negative spiral. So I think I would withdraw my motion, and I would move that we award the contract to U.S. Tow Hawthorne, hoping, and then they'll be here in August 31st.
Okay, so hold on a second, because we have this other motion that was on the floor here now. So who originally made that motion? Madam City Clerk, if you can help me with that. I'm sorry? I made the first one in favor of U.S. Toll, but we went past that. That
I
one died.
believe the second one was Councilmember Medina,
You made
and
the
then
motion.
Councilmember Cascanian.
Okay, so
Yeah.
So we have a first and a second.
we had a first, and do we need to go ahead and finish that vote on that one? Is that correct? Okay. Madam City Clerk, will you call the roll on that one? And that, just remind everybody, that is to give the award to Hisham Towing, I guess with the amendment that they get caught up in payment of $59,000 within 10 days. Okay? So a motion was made by Councilmember Medina, and it was seconded by Mayor Pro Tem Cascanian. Will you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Medina.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Cascanian.
Yes.
Councilmember Henderson.
No.
Councilmember Tanaka.
No.
Mayor Serta.
No. Okay, at this time, is there a I'm going to go back again to this here. Is there a recommendation to approve the towing service and franchise to U.S. Tow of Hawthorne at this time?
I move that we approve that contract.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Madam City Clerk, there was a motion made by Councilmember Henderson and a second by Councilmember Tanaka. Will you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Henderson.
Yes.
Councilmember Tanaka.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Cascanian.
No.
Okay. Councilmember Medina.
No.
Mayor Serta.
Yes. Okay, so at this time, the contract has been awarded to U.S. Towing. And to Mr. Hisham, thank you for the service that you did provide for us for the past 12 years. So, well, it's still going to be old regardless. It's still going to. Well, I mean, we're going to move forward and find that out. But thank you again for your service to our community here. Okay, at this time, we're going to move on to the next item here, which is item number 8C2. Mr. City Manager.
Mayor Serta, members of the City Council, Resolution number 6376 sets the amount and signatures required on warrants issued by the City of Gardena and repeals Resolution number 4001. In reviewing the city's current account payable policies and procedures, the staff of Administrative Services in the City Treasurer's Office determined that the practice of obtaining wet signatures for checks of $10,000 or over was onerous and outdated. 7 of the 8 South Bay cities were surveyed to ascertain their check signatory policies and reported that all signatures were of facsimile nature. Staff recommends that the practice of wet signatures on checks of $10,000 or more be increased to checks of $35,000 or more. To ensure that there's checks and balances and to keep the City Council informed of large purchases, a separate report of warrants in excess of $10,000 will be provided to Council prior to each Council meeting. In your report, there is a survey that indicates the cities and how they do their check signing authorities. Remember that the City Council gets to review all warrant registers before they approve them under the consent calendar, and all signatures over 10,000, all checks over 10,000 will be highlighted in that report. After many of the council meetings and during the week, we're signing lots of checks in the amounts of $10,000, but there will still be full transparency in terms of all those checks to all of the council members. What is required is to adopt resolution number 6376 and repeal resolution number 4001.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions or comments at this time? If not, can I get a motion to adopt resolution number 6376? Is there a second?
Second.
Madam City Clerk, there was a motion made by Councilmember Tanaka and a second by Councilmember Henderson. Will you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Tanaka.
Yes.
Councilmember Henderson.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Cascanian.
Yes.
Councilmember Medina.
Yes.
Councilmember Henderson. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes again.
Yes, again. Mayor Serta.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, next we're going to move on to item number 8F1. Mr. City Manager?
Thank you, Mayor, Serta, members of the City Council. Agenda number 8F1 is a public hearing, which is approval of the relocation plan for the Prim Pool expansion. The city acquired the property located at 16004 Harvard Avenue, Gardena, using Recreation Park and Lieu funds with the intent to expand its recreational opportunities at the Prim Pool site. The city has retained Overland Pacific and Cutler, LLC, OPC for short, to prepare a relocation plan and provide relocation assistance services to the tenants of 4 households on the property. OPC staff conducted individual interviews with the 4 households in late February 2018. The city staff, including myself, also met with 2 of the households earlier this month. In accordance with the draft plan, assistance in finding a replacement location and monetary payments to cover the costs and increased expenses of relocation will be provided. No occupant will be displaced until after receiving at least 90 days' notice, nor until decent, safe, sanitary, and affordable relocation housing is available and ready for occupancy. There will be 42 months of rent differential assistance, which will be provided to the households, and benefits to be paid to the tenants upon submission of required claim forms and documentation in accordance with the city's normal administrative procedures. The city will process advance payment requirements to mitigate hardships for tenants and who do not have access to sufficient funds to pay moving costs such as first month's rent and other security deposits. State law requires that prior to relocation of the existing tenants, the city prepare and approve a relocation plan. The draft was provided to the tenants for an opportunity to consider and comment on the plan. One or more of the tenants is here to and expected to testify at this public hearing. The amount budgeted for this was $249,000, not to exceed $249,000. I've asked Michelle Folk from Overland Pacific to come in and to provide sort of a brief overview of how that plan works and how government relocation services are different than the private sector and meet and exceed what the tenants would have received if a private property owner would have purchased the property.
Okay, if she can come forward at this time.
Good evening, everyone. My name's Michelle Folk. I am with OPC. If a private person had purchased the property and decided to do something else with it, the tenants would have been given a 60-day notice to vacate, and that's it. But because a public entity is displacing the tenants, state relocation regulations are at play, and there are certain requirements, including the relocation plan, which basically is to outline the city's program, the benefits it'll provide under the state regulations, and also the assistance that's not financial, but what we call advisory services, which you've also hired OPC to provide to the tenants. The financial assistance includes 42 months of what we call rental assistance, but it's not just a difference between their current housing cost and the cost of comparable housing out there. It's also taking a look at the gross household income. And the state legislators decided that tenants should not be forced to pay more than 30% of their income towards a housing cost. So that number is also looked at when we do the calculation for rental assistance. They also receive a moving payment, and it's their choice. If they want to use a professional moving company, we'll secure 2 bids from those companies. one of those bids will be approved, and they can use a professional mover that the city will pay directly. They can also choose to take a fixed moving payment where the tenant is paid to move themselves, and that's based on a federal schedule for the state of California. The advisory services are, we will, depending on where they want to move and the type of unit they want to move to, will help identify available units like that for them in any city, if not Gardena, that they'd like. We've also had some of the households indicate they may want to purchase instead of rent, using the rental assistance, which can actually be converted to down payment assistance to purchase a replacement home. We'll fill out the claim forms for them. We'll process advance payments for them through the city and simply try to make their move as stress-free as possible.
And Mayor Serta and members of City Council, just to give you an idea of what the relocation tax-free amounts are, they range in the area of $65,000 to the highest, and the lowest being $48,835. So they're depending on their each individual situation has been indicated. That's the payments that the tenants will receive.
And actually, if I could clarify, at the time of a relo plan, we're asking for verbal responses as to income, disabilities, senior status, the number of minor children in a household, because all of those things go into consideration with the calculation. At the time that they actually are required to leave, they'll have to provide written documentation of those things. So the budgetary estimate in the relo plan was an estimate based on the verbal responses and on comparable housing cost identified at the time. One of the reasons that those payments are significantly higher than we traditionally see is they're in a fourplex, what's considered a low-density unit. They're not in a 100-unit apartment complex. And you can imagine the cost of duplex, single-family residences, triplexes are significantly higher. But that is comparable to what they have, which is why we based it on the cost of those units. That's the maximum they can receive. But if they choose to go out and rent a two-bedroom apartment that is less than the comparable rent for one of those low-density units, their payment will be adjusted accordingly, because it is a spend-to-get program. It's based on an actual differential between what they're paying now or their income and the unit they actually go to. And at the time of a relo plan, we don't know what that is. We just estimate the maximum amount of assistance they would receive if they went into one of the available low-density units at that time.
I'm sorry, just for clarification. So like, for instance, 48,000 could be one of the options, or 65, I mean, based on each one's individual?
Each of those four households had different incomes. They had different deductions to incomes because of the household composition.
Okay.
They're currently paying different rents between the four households.
Okay.
So we did have I received several emails from some of the tenants asking why the total estimated amount couldn't be divided equally amongst the four of them.
Oh, okay.
And unfortunately, that's not the way the state regulations dictate that we calculate benefits.
Okay.
And we also can't just make a payment before they've moved. It
Right.
truly will ultimately based on where they go and how much that new rent is.
Okay. Did you have anything else to add before I open the public hearing? No? Okay. So this is a public hearing. The hearing is now open at this time. We do have two speakers. I'm going to ask for our two speakers to come forward first before we open it up to questions and comments here. So the first speaker we have is Tracy Polnitz. Can you just state your name while you're speaking? Okay.
Tracy Polonitz.
Polnitz. Thank you.
Honorable Mayor and members of the City Council, I am one of the tenants at 16004 South Harvard Boulevard that has been impacted by the sale of my unit. While I am all for new development and the improvement of the neighborhood that I have called my home for the past 15+ years, this is something I wish I didn't have to do. My current rent is $10.50, and I have been paying that for the last couple of years. I moved to my apartment in January 2004, where I started out paying $850. I'm going to keep this short and simple because I don't want that red button to go off on me. I rewrote this letter about 5 different times. This whole process has been disruptive, stressful, and a royal pain. I have been looking ever since I received my letter in February. While I am grateful for the current settlement that is being offered at this current time, it is nowhere near enough to last 42 months or even 24 months. My former landlord told me that you all made her an offer that she could not refuse. I won't say the amount, doesn't matter. All I ask is that you make us an offer that is fair. I cannot pay $2,347 just to get what's being offered. I don't think anyone here can. In closing, I'm sure you all's mind is made up and this hearing is just a formality, but I would hate for any of you sitting here would have to go through this process because only then you will realize how much of a pain and headache this has been. Thank you for your time, and condolences again to Mr. Tanaka, my neighbor. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Claudia, I'm sorry.
She's upset. She doesn't want to speak.
Okay.
Mayor Serta,
Yes.
members of City Council, this is a difficult situation. When I met with some of the households, I realized the impacts this will have on their lives. We have done our due diligence in terms of trying to figure out the best relocation plan that is possible, and that is fair, and that is in accordance to the law. There are some things that I had suggested to the tenants there to try to help them, and that's one is to reach out to a local network of realtors after the relocation plan is approved to see if we can help them find housing in our region, because we deal quite often with many realtors and other folks who own property, including maybe some members of our rent mediation board, et cetera, to see if they have available units as well. We will do our best to extend the 90-day notice to a time frame that is reasonable for the city to proceed, but yet not immediate. But we cannot keep that out too long, because as the housing market tightens up, that also exposes the city as well. So we want to work with them. We realize it's a difficult time, but in order for us to acquire that land and move forward with the expansion of recreational facilities, the city does have very little options. In general, most of the relocation plans the relocation services that government is required to do are fairly generous in terms of the amount that is paid. As indicated in the beginning, if this property was been acquired and was initially going to be acquired by a private entity, only 60 days notice was going to be given. We actually acquired this property in lieu of another private company buying that land, as the city council knows.
Right. Okay, so this is a public hearing. I'm going to open it up to council members for comments and or questions. We're going to start on this side. Councilmember Henderson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Is the landowner here at all? No? Okay.
She is not here, to the best of my knowledge.
Okay. I'm sorry, say it again?
She is not here, to the best of my knowledge.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? No? Okay, I have a question here. So, because I sat on the rent mediation board before, like was mentioned earlier, private individual purchases that property there, it's just, and they want to increase the rent or bring in new tenants, it's just a 60-day notice. Same thing with, I mean, that's how it is now as it was, I guess, many years ago before. The previous landlord is not required to pay her tenants any type of relocation fee. Is that my understanding? Okay, because it's been a little while since I've been off the rent mediation board here. Okay, but as you mentioned, because the city is doing this here, money has been allotted out for them. So, okay, I think it's kind of clear here that it may not be to your advantage right now to move, but I mean, if this property were purchased by anybody else other than the city, then you would have just been asked to move at that time with a 60-day notice. But fortunately, because the city did do that, it is giving you something to start with at that point. As I said, now may not be the best time for you to move, but it's better than nothing. So at this time here, I'm going to go ahead and close the public hearing since there are no more speakers at this time. And the motion right now is to approve the relocation plan as stated. Is there a motion? Is there a motion for somebody to approve this at this time?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Madam City Clerk, there was a motion made by Councilmember Henderson and a second by Councilmember Tanaka. Will you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Henderson,
Yes.
Councilmember Tanaka,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Cascanian,
Yes.
Councilmember Medina,
No.
Mayor Serta.
Yes. Okay. So
Mayor,
it's-
sir, the members of City Council, what I'm going to do is schedule a meeting with all the tenants there in Overland Pacific to see what else we can do to assist them and make this as easy as possible for them. I think it's the right thing to do.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so at this time, we're going to move on to item number 8G1. Mr. City Manager.
Mayor, Serta, members of the City Council, agenda number 8G1 is resolution number 6377, authorizing the filing of a grant amendment application for federal transportation assistance. In other words, we are getting some more money, which is always good. G-Trans is eligible to receive a formula allocation of federal capital funding through the Federal Transit Administration, or FTA, and wishes to amend an existing grant, which is number CA-1640-128-01, to include additional funding for submittal to the FTA. That was hard. Too many three-letter initials. Funding that wasn't available during the time of the original grant application is now available, and therefore an amendment is required to access the funding. The amendment requests $2,308,400 to be added to the existing grant program. The new grant total will be $19,525,651. Amendments include funding for G-Trans bus tire lease, new maintenance and asset management software, and additional funding to complete its scheduled operations management software and the new CAD AVL real-time information projects. The original grant included funding for projects like replacement of buses, the purchase of bus equipment, and the construction of the compressed natural gas fueling equipment, which is coming in the near future. Projects are included either in capital budgets previously approved by the City Council or in future budgets for council consideration. G-Trans anticipates to begin drawing down these funds upon grant amendment execution in about July of 2019. There is no fiscal impact to the general fund. G-Trans is applying for an amendment in the total of $2,308,000 with a local match of $461,680, which is provided by Transportation Development Credits, or TDCs, available through Metro's toll call program. The new grant total, as previously mentioned, is $19,525,651. What is required is to adopt resolution number 6377.
Okay. Any questions or comments? If not, can I get a motion to adopt resolution number 6377? I'll make the motion. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Who made the motion?
Yes.
You did.
Yes.
Was there a second? Rodney? Okay. Madam City Clerk, there was a motion made by Councilmember Medina and a second by Councilmember Tanaka. Will you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Medina,
Yes.
Councilmember Tanaka,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Cascanian,
Yes.
Councilmember Henderson,
Yes.
Mayor Serta.
Yes. What a G-Trans, good luck. Hope you get it. Okay, next we're going to move on to council directives. So does any member of the council have any directives at this time? Councilmember Henderson?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I was wondering, Mr. City Manager, and if I could get a second from my colleagues. Thank you for putting the management report online. That's great. Is it possible for us to get a breakdown of the types of training that our police officers receive and the percentage of officers that go to that type of training? Not necessarily their names, but just, 85% have attended implicit bias training, 30% have attended shoelace training, stuff like that. Can we break it down in categories? Is that possible? To get a second for that?
I second that. A second.
Yeah, that's possible. We'll get that report to you.
Any other directives at this time? If not, okay, Councilmember
Can we check on the
Tanaka?
roadway? I believe it's, let me think now. I think it's Dalton between Artesia and 169th where they dug up the road. resurfaced it, and it's the worst road I've ever seen. I mean, I actually had to drive on the wrong side of the street to avoid it was terrible.
So the repairs are done in 2 stages. Director Cruz has heard from me on these repairs a number of times. So the first is they do the work and they do a temporary patch, but because it makes more sense for economy of scale to complete all of the resurfacing and final pavement, they'll wait till they're all complete and they have one vendor coming in to this region so they can fix all of those temporary repairs and make them as close to as original as possible.
Okay, this one wasn't even close to being good before it got to be permanent.
Yes, I've actually gone over to engineering a couple times and asked them, and I met with some of the inspectors, and Director Cruz and I have talked. They are going to fix it. They will make it right, but because they're doing so much work, in order to piecemeal that, it just doesn't make financial sense.
Any other directors at this time? Okay, if not, we're going to move on to our city manager's remarks regarding directors and council items.
Thank you, Mayor and members of City Council. A number of really good follow-ups. First of all, Earth Day was yesterday, and we started an Earth Day challenge for employees. So we're challenging our employees to come up with different ways of helping us be more sustainable and do our part to support green efforts. So what we're going to be doing is employees submit their different ideas. We're going to select some winners, and they're eligible to receive up to $500 per submission, and it's based on some different criteria. But this is a way of doing 2 things. One, following up on the council's directive to move forward with becoming more green and sustainable, and 2, engaging our workforce to come up with the ideas, because they probably have a lot better ideas than we do, and then ultimately incentivizing them for coming up with those great ideas. It's not only about being green and sustainable, but ultimately a lot of these things turn into cost savings and efficiency savings for the city of Gardena. Next, I wanted to provide you an update on the problem property at 12850 Crenshaw Boulevard. There's a report in your package about the cars and other equipment being stored at that facility, which is just south of the gas station on El Segundo and Crenshaw. I know community members have been complaining about it. There's a detailed report in your package. We met with the owner. It was Monday on an office conference regarding the conditions, and he has subleased it to some other people. So we have noticed all the cars in terms of public nuisance, and if they don't comply, those cars will be towed. But it appears that we're on our pathway, hopefully, to get that cleaned up as quickly as possible. The owner certainly knows that we are taking this very seriously, and we've given some short timelines as well. We're going to be issuing administrative citations to the current leasee for the violations. So that's in your package. I wanted to provide you just a small, quick update on something I think we're all very proud of. If you have not seen it, hopefully this will give you an opportunity to see what has been done at Raleigh Park with the tennis courts and what we're going to be doing throughout our city to make it look better. This is before and after. This is them taking down the old rusted fencing there and the wind screens. And if you see the conditions of the fence, and it's rusty and just really, really old and in poor shape. And you'll see a slide coming up here about the conditions of the surface. Look at that surface. It's no wonder our community was complaining about the conditions. So they did resurface the entire tennis courts, and these are still as they worked on them. That's what a new resurfaced tennis court looks like. It's beautiful. The fence is now going up, as you see in these subsequent pictures. These are brand new fence going around the entire, and that's a brand new resurfaced tennis courts. What a huge improvement of what occurred in the past. I want to thank General Service and Recreation Service and Human Services for helping complete this project. It's certainly a big step. And As you see, that sign went up showing our community that we're making progress, and we're going to be putting those throughout. Next is Arthur Johnson Park for some resurfacing there and the other tennis courts we have. So good things occurring to our parks, and that's what we want to show our community, that we're listening to them and that we're making some changes. We are in full jazz festival swing. A couple things that I wanted to bring up to your attention. One, online sales begin May 6th, so there won't be another council meeting before then. We're using a completely different service and method of selling our tickets that is done online. They have barcodes we're able to track, and also this year you can include prepaying and buying parking, so we can have better accountability of our parking revenue as people park their cars. And the other thing I wanted to follow up with is the City Council did receive complaints last year, if you remember, about the tents, and that people didn't know that tents didn't include tickets. And there was some, at least some complaints here in the City Council meetings about that. So this year, when you buy a tent, you also get some tickets for the cost of the tent is all included. So it's pretty clear on how they're doing. So a lot of new changes at the Jazz Festival. It's moving forward in a positive direction. The committee's working really hard, so I'd like to thank all of them. Just a reminder that Watabampo and Ichikawa youth visits are summer of 2019. I'm having a tough day there, sorry about that. They're both going to be visiting in the summer of 2019, and we will extend our hospitality to the youth groups that come here to Gardena, and Recreation and Human Services will be the lead department on those. The Medal of Valor Luncheon is May 23rd for you council members to put that on your calendar and show support for those. We do have a recipient this year. Something very exciting that I know Councilman Henderson will really appreciate is our changing in our monthly report. It has completely gone automated, and it is not only available in a format that is easy to read, but it's very interactive. So we will no longer be publishing our monthly reports on paper. It's all online, and I will plan on doing a presentation, a short one, next council meeting. You will be thoroughly impressed on how much information is available and how much information our community can access through a very interactive monthly report system. I think it's one of the best I have ever seen, but I guess I am a little biased. But the new version, there's even a newer version. So we're using Power BI to make it very interactive, so hopefully you will enjoy that. And then lastly, I just want to remind our City Council that the last council meeting did provide you information about our surveys that were done by FM3. That surveys showed that there are some areas of the community that community is concerned about, and they want some improvements. Now, after we've taken that scientific polling, we're going to be going out and doing some additional polling with members of our community. One of the things that we're going to do is we are going to be attending a lot of community meetings. We have an online service that will help community members fill out that survey and provide us additional information, not necessarily captured with the first one. As a reminder, the residents that took the first survey, 78% of the residents believe the city has a real need for additional funds to provide the level of services that the residents want. And those services are really about keeping public areas safe and clean, repairing streets and potholes, maintaining good fire protection and paramedic service, protecting our local drinking water, maintaining 911 response times, maintaining senior services, especially senior daycare and other services and meals for seniors, maintaining vital city services, and then, of course, trying to ensure that any gang and drug prevention programs are fully supported. So we will be launching a new area in the city's website, which will be www.cityofgardena.org/get-involved. And that's also another location to do the survey. Ultimately, what we want to do is ensure that we have a good grasp of what our community wants. And as the City Council knows, the community is changing. The demographics of the community is changing. The age is changing. The amount of time residents have lived in this community are changing. We have a lot more newer residents moving in. So this is a good way for our city to get a handle on what we need to do, and then let the city council provide us policy direction on what you'd like us to do. And that ends my report, Madam Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Two quick questions. Will there be any type of ribbon cutting ceremony for the new tennis courts? Because that is kind of a big deal, one of our, projects that we're doing like that.
Yeah, we will be coordinating a ribbon cutting low-key, like, opening the tennis courts.
Okay.
And I believe that Recreation and Human Services is working on that now, and I'll make sure all the city council is made aware of that.
Okay, one other question. The property you mentioned on 128th and Crenshaw, where they're just leaving cars there, basically nowhere in the city you can do that, correct? I mean, there's not certain areas that are zoned where you can just store cars like that, or those containers, things of that sort, correct?
Well, if you have permitted and you're licensing for vehicle storage, you could, but that's not the situation here.
That's not there.
Yeah, and it's just gone. It started off slow, and it's gotten worse and worse and worse, and it's to a point where a critical mass. That's not what that property is
Intended for.
So
Right,
we will.
okay.
I've made it clear to staff that we need to get control of that situation.
Okay, well, just because I know people are viewing this here, just so that if people are seeing things like this, definitely we want them to report it on Gardena Direct.
Absolutely, we can only act on it if we know about it.
Exactly. Okay, thank you for that report there. Now we're going to move on to closing remarks. I'm sorry, council remarks. I'm ready to go. We're going to begin with Mayor Pro Tem Kaskanian.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Since our last meeting, I attended the Easter luncheon at the Nakaoka Community Center. We served lunch to 100-plus senior citizens from all over the city. Easter Bunny visited them, and they get some gifts from Easter Bunny. It was a good event. Everybody was happy. And tomorrow marks 104th anniversary of the Armenian genocide. Madam Mayor, I would like to adjourn the meeting in memory of 1.5 million Armenians that massacred in the hand of Ottoman Empire in 1915. Now it's modern Turkey. Turkey until now, the Turkish government, they deny the genocide. So tomorrow will be march to Turkish consulate. If anybody out there, friends, family, colleagues would like to march with me, I will be out there 1 p.m. in front of Turkish consulate at 6300 Wilshire Boulevard. And that's end my report, Madam Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Next is Councilmember Tanaka.
Mayor, the only great thing I did was I performed a wedding for our own Shige's Automotive, which actually services our cars. And John and Kelly, thank you very much for allowing me to do that. And that ends my report.
Okay, thank you. Next is Councilmember Henderson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Because the hour is long, I won't be long. I attended the VFW 3261 barbecue, honoring their district commander, Sherrod Connors. I also attended our food truck event at Raleigh Park this past Friday. That was an awesome event. That was a hit record. So thanks to all the park and staff. Nikki, that was a great event right there. So folks are like, are we going to do this every Friday? I'm like, oh, I don't know about that. But it was a great event. It was attended very well, and a lot of the vendors sold out a lot of their stuff. So that was a good thing. I also had a chance to go by the carnival briefly. Then my sinuses started acting up. One of our young community members kicked some dust up in my face. We were playing, and then my sinuses started acting up after that. So then I had to retreat. I also attended a webinar on sustainability to kind of get my skills and understanding a little bit deeper in sustainability and what communities can do. I know Gardena is moving in that direction. And I want to commend the city on the relocation services. You know, this whole situation brings back a time, members of my family, when the 105 freeway was not there. For those that don't know, the 105 was not always there. I had a lot of family that lived in that area where the 105 is, and a lot of those, in some cases, a lot of those landlords just booted everybody out, and there was just no relocation assistance and different things like that. So in some cases, some landlords did try to work with folks and Caltrans and everybody in the city. It was tough, but I think our city is, going above and beyond in regards to making sure we can make our tenants as whole as possible, our community members, working with OPC. I think that's a good thing. I would definitely like to see a little bit more from that landowner in regards to what else can be done to actually support these folks that are having to relocate. And I just wanted to state that I want to commend staff for actually being proactive in that manner, because it is tough. And I remember that, my family and aunts and everybody going through that. It's a different situation when you get that 60-day notice and everything's got to change immediately. So we're actually doing what we can in this situation. So, Madam Mayor, so ends my report.
Okay, thank you. For myself, since the last council meeting, I attended Sarah High School's 4th annual golf tournament, and it was held at Chester, Washington. Had a great day out there, and my team came in second place, which was pretty cool. And also, yes, my dad did carry the team. Also, since the last council meeting, I attended Gardina's VFW, their annual cookout, and it was a homecoming event for their district commander and president, and we had a great time over there celebrating at the VFW, so I just want to thank them for the invite. And I believe somebody else here also attended. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. And yes, Councilman Henderson was there. So it was just great being over there and just kind of, enjoying the afternoon with them. Also, since the last council meeting, I attended a retirement party for City of Carson Councilmember Elito Santeria. He is no longer on the city council in the city of Carson, so it was really nice that their council had a nice little retirement party for him. I also attended on last Saturday, briefly, breakfast with the Easter Bunny, and I just want to thank Miss Pauline Moses for doing a great job. There were a lot of kids out there who wanted eggs and candy, and how she kept it all together, I don't know. She and her entire staff, so they did a great job. I want to thank Stephanie Santine for being out there. She had that great camera where they were taking pictures with the kids, and the kids were just having a great time. So that was really good to know that we were able to have a great event for our young people in the community. And then later on that day, or immediately afterwards, I attended a friendly softball game with Gardena PD and Compton Fire Department, Compton School Police, and I guess the Compton LA Sheriff's Department. And it was a softball game in honor of our officer, Toshio Harai. And it was very good games. They had 3 games there, and I'm happy to say that we won. We came home with a huge trophy there. Our guys were amazing out there. So it was a pretty exciting game. So I'm happy to report that. So that ends my report. And next is Councilmember Medina.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And I'll keep it really short. Since our last council meeting, I attended the Filipino Senior Citizens of Gardina's installation, and I want to congratulate Ellie Gamo for her presidency from 2018 to 2019. And every member of the City Council has received a notice from the Vector Control of Greater Los Angeles. Mosquito season is starting, so please, please, please don't leave any water standing, and not even at the bottom of your pots where the dish is, because that's where all mosquitoes love to breed. And people have asked me, has anyone ever died from a mosquito bite? And for those of you who might remember Supervisor Yaroslavsky, his wife died once she got bit by an Aedes mosquito. She thought she had the flu because all the symptoms were like a flu, runny nose, headache, all that stuff, and she wound up dying because of that. So please, please don't leave any standing water around your home. And if you decide to go out and go to the park or something, take a can of OFF, and just spray yourself, just to be careful, because mosquito season is about to start. And that ends my report.
Okay, thank you. So next we're going to move on to announcements here. We just have a couple of announcements. The first one being the 33rd Annual Cinco de Mayo Coronation, which will take place on April 28, 2019, which is going to be at the Nakoka Community Center from 3 to 6 p.m. If you're interested, the tickets are on sale now. Adults are $25, kids 5 to 13 are $13, and under 5 is free. So if you have questions, there's flyers that has information on how to purchase tickets as well as information about the event. Also, on May the 4th, we're going to have our 33rd annual Cinco de Mayo Parade and Festival. The festivities will begin at, the parade begins at 10 a.m. And let's see, and the festivities begin from 11:30 a.m. until 4:30 p.m. And that will be at Mos Fukai Park. But the parade will begin at Gardena Boulevard and New Hampshire. And then lastly, I just want to mention, for those of you who are watching this on TV or if you're in the audience and you're wondering, how do you become a veteran that gets recognized here at our city council meetings? We have these flyers throughout City Hall here that gives information on what qualifies you to be recognized here. And basically, if you're a resident of Gardena and you were honorably discharged, you're eligible to become recognized at our city council meetings. So along with the flyer, there's an application on the back, and we definitely want to encourage more of our veterans to participate in this so that we can recognize you at our city council meetings. Okay, so we're going to move on to adjournments. So at this time, we're going to adjourn in memory of a Miss Vanessa Suarez, who was 21 years old, a Gardena resident who was tragically killed in a car accident this past Saturday night, and she died on her 21st birthday. We're also going to be adjourning in memory of the 1.5 million Armenians who died at the hand of the Ottoman Empire. So at this time, the Gardena City Council meeting will adjourn to our next regularly scheduled City Council meeting, which will be at 7 p.m. on Tuesday, May the 14th, 2019. We are adjourned.